Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nikita Bubnov, and this semester I've been interning at the Grantwave Project, the nonprofit media organization. My mentor, Denise, is here. And I'm Russian, so I might have a bit of an accent, but at least I will not be talking like this. So please bear with me. And today, now, I would want to tell you about my very first day at my internship placement and the very first lesson I learned there. So, as I've said, it happened on the very first day. And I showed up about like 40 minutes earlier than I was supposed to. The next 40 minutes I spent walking around the block and smoking my cigarettes. When only 3 were left in the pack, and clocks finally showed 9 a.m., relieving my heart and pain in my lungs, I finally entered the building. At this time, only 2 thoughts were in my mind. It's be cool and look professional. Never happened though. But thinking of this now, I kind of realized that my cool face looked more like paralyzed, and my professional attitude could only strengthen any beliefs one could have about Russian inborn coldness. So, at this day, I had no idea about that. And all these events that happened during this day, I probably wouldn't be able to reconstruct the timeline of all this. But my story isn't about this, so I'll leave to your imagination all of these awkward interactions ahead. And my story actually starts with me sitting at the conference table in the Grantwave office. Just several minutes ago, our chief editor, Kevin Grant, asked me to participate in the meeting with 2 people whose names and origins were lost in the wave of anxiety born me with this request. And at this time, looking painstakingly around the table, I found a relief in that I wasn't the only intern at the table. There was also Frank. There are a lot of traits to his person, but the most important one at that time, the one that stood up to me, was that he was an intern. So I wasn't the only one at this boat. And also, the slight notion of competition rose inside of me because I knew that at some point at the end of this conversation, I will be asked about something I don't know. And I need to give a response, and my response should be better than his. So when I was somewhere in the middle of readjusting my response model from got it to well, 2 ladies of middle age finally took their seats and conversation began. As of now, I don't think I'll be able to tell you what they've been talking about, but since I was uninvolved most of the time, I didn't really need to, I believed at that time, to be actually listening to all this. So I was actually just thinking of what should I answer when I'm asked. And while my brain was explosively working at creating the solution for this hard problem at the time, I had a chance to actually observe what was happening around the table. And it kind of surprised me because none of these people had rigid faces. They were all smiling. And the conversation hasn't stopped even for a second. So at this time, I started to kind of thinking over my beliefs and how professional and cool face should look like. As a person who grew up surrounded by people involved in the business industry, especially in Russia, which has its own specifics, I always believed that the most important thing you need to know during the formal meeting is to learn how to smile like this. And all of this atmosphere, all this table, actually changed this notion because none of these people, all these people who were extremely professional, and I was kind of afraid of them, were smiling. And I started to think, what if I would smile? What would that look like at all? And when I was finally asked, I smiled. And I was talking without a stop. And everyone seems to be very satisfied with me. And this kind of brought me to the notion, to the moral of the story, is that when in Rome, do as Romans do. And I've been in this country for almost 3 years. And during all these years, each time I had any interaction with any other people, Americans, I was behaving as Russian, and that doesn't really work here. So And I don't think that I've mastered this way you all behave to the point of perfection. But I do believe that I have some kind of new insights on this issue because right now I'm standing before you and I'm smiling.